Hi there, it's AJ here. In my previous video about stripes templates, I looked at the basic structure of the template and how stripes actually work. For those of you that are just starting off with a brand new website and want to use one of these templates, that may well be enough. This video, on the other hand, is for those of you that have an established website with multiple pages and want to transition to a stripe. Just before I start, do make sure that if you're going to transition from a different template, save all your custom CSS, make sure you've got your original header image, bits and pieces like that, so that if for whatever reason you have to change back, you've still got the styling to do so. Now I'm going to do a quick recap on what we did in the other video, which was if we put content onto the page and it was not on a stripe, it would stretch the full width of the page. If we put content into a stripe, it would stay constrained to the width of whatever that stripe liner was, usually 1000 to 1100 pixels in width. So let's take a scenario of somebody that has an established website with 200 pages, and if you change to a stripe template, the first thing that you're going to notice is all your content has gone full width. Now you may be okay with that. If you're happy with it, then you don't need to do anything else other than just gradually move your content across to stripes as and when you can manage to do so. However, for some of us, we don't want our content to stretch out maybe as wide as 1900 plus pixels in width, especially if we've been using a 2 or 3 column template, so our content column just wasn't formatted to go that wide. So for those people, what do? What some people will do is they'll put a stripe on the page, and then they will start to put all their content into that stripe or stripes. Now if you do that page by page, the more pages you have, the longer it's going to take. It might take weeks or even months to do that. So those people are probably going to be put off using a stripe unless there was some way of doing it automatically. The good news is I can help you with that, so let's just go back to our previous graphic. I'll just get rid of that content that I've got here. Now remember that the content column, which is what holds the stripes, is the full width of the page. So I'm just getting rid of all these here. Now to get a narrower content area, we can use CSS to give us a smaller content area like so. And that's going to ensure that the content, when you put it onto the page, even if it's not on a stripe, will stay constrained to that width. So far so good, but what about stripes? Because they will also be the same width as that content, which we don't want. We want them to stretch to the full width of the page. That's where we use negative margins on the stripes with a bit of CSS, and that means the stripes will then stretch out past the width of the content column and out to the width of the page wrapper, where anything that goes wider than that is then chopped off. So it means even if your content is not on a stripe, it stays the right width, and then you can just put content into your stripes at your leisure. So the question is, how do we do this in a stripes template? Well, it's just a bit of very simple CSS. Here is a template that I'm working on at the moment called Marketeer, a stripes one, and if I take a look at it in Site Designer, I have it in Site Builder, Block Builder, sorry. So let's look at the head section. Normally I would put this in with the Site Designer Custom CSS, but for the purposes of testing I tend to use on this page only, so that I can see changes immediately. So if we look at the styling, we can see what I've done with the content column is I've given it a maximum width of 1000 pixels, and I've added a little bit of padding left and right. And with our stripe, which is all three stripes, I've changed the margins. In particular, the left and right margin, I've used negative values of minus 1000 pixels. That means they're stretching 1000 pixels further left and right, and they get chopped off at the page wrapper because that page wrapper has an overflow hidden applied to it. We don't have to apply that. And then I've put the padding back into the stripes. You'll see I've used 50 pixels less, so 950 pixels. As for the rest, that is all just styling that applies to what I particularly want to see. So it's only these two bits of CSS, the content column and the stripe, that is required to make this work. And there will be the CSS placed in the description for the video. So let's just take a quick look at how it actually looks. So let's just take a peek at how it actually looks. Here we are, the first bit of content with the headline and a paragraph of text is just in a text block that is not in a stripe, but as you can see it's constrained to that 1000 pixels in width. I'm then using a stripe below that, and you can see the background image stretches the full width of the page. Then I have more text that is also not in a stripe, and then I have another stripe, more text, and another stripe. Now on this particular template you'll notice that my headings in the stripes are sitting up above the actual stripe, and if you're wondering why that is, it's because this template has a negative margin applied to the stripe liner, lifting it up out of the actual stripe. I can just show you how that works here. If I use my Chrome Inspector and look at the stripe liner, you can see how that is sitting up above. If I take off the margin top, you'll see that the stripe liner pops back down. You see that? I think this is the only one of the stripe templates that does this, but it's just something to be aware of. And of course you could add this margin top minus 50 pixels to any of the stripe templates if you so desired. Okay, I think that pretty much covers it. If you've got any questions, just put them in the comments and I'll try and answer them. Actually, there is one more thing before I go. You might ask yourself, are there any drawbacks to doing this, and will it stop me doing anything that I want to do on my design? There is one small thing that it will stop you doing, but we can fix that easily enough. So I'm going to go back to the designer gallery to show you a particular template which is called Techly. Now if I look at this design, we've got a stripe at the top, then we've got another stripe which is plain white background, then we've got another stripe which is orange, so there's three stripes, and below that is what appears to be another stripe which is a black background, but in actual fact it's not. What it is a container placed into the page directly below that orange stripe. it's styled to be coloured black, and then an image gallery 3 wide is placed into that container. Now, doing what I suggested with the CSS, you would not be able to do that, because if you placed a container onto the page that is not in a stripe, it's not going to stretch full width like this. So that probably won't be a deal breaker for you, because this is the sort of thing that you might do maybe once or twice in a design. In fact, you might not even use it at all. So if you did particularly want to do that, what I would do is select the page where I wanted to do that, and then I would put some custom CSS in to basically reset the page to the default stripe setup, so you could do that. Just do that on a page by page basis. But unless you're particularly planning on doing this, there's no other drawbacks. If you were to check the page that I showed you, if you were to check this page in tablets and phones, which I've done, it displays perfectly, so we don't have any problems with overflows pushing the page too wide or anything like that. If you enjoyed this video, then you can subscribe to my channel and click this icon to get notified about new videos. And of course, a thumbs up is always appreciated. Thanks for watching.